Back in the saddle. Looking for a little affection. It's 2 for 2. 2 days in a row.
2 in the box.
Ready to go.
We be fast and
They be slow.
Let's talk about legal tampering, which starts in an hour. 1 hour. Till the Giants can start legally talking to players that are free agents from last year. Now, of course, if you are recently, just released, you're able to sign with any team you want. You do not have to wait for the free agency period to go after. That's why we're seeing a plethora of moves. We're seeing trades. We're seeing projects, our products of the eye of Giant fans being moved on from and moved around to. We see Devontae Adams signing. We see Geno Smith being traded. We see some linebackers that we could have had some interest in. I hope we would have had some interest in being signed rapidly. And I'm not sitting there and telling you that this is a precursor to Giant free agency, that we're going to get avoided. Monty Toomer came out today and said, Giants are being avoided because of Joe Shane. Giants are being avoided because they're a bad team. You are going to overpay for players. What's up, Mr. Taz? You're going to Chad Sports said that the Giants are getting Josh Allen from the Bills for a pack of gum because they just felt generous to the Giants because that's how it works. It sounds like Chad Sports to me. He's a Chad. He's a chode. My biggest fear, besides death and taxes, is the fact that the New York Football Giants are going to give someone like DJ Reed, a good player, a 5'8", 180-pound corner who's been with 3 teams in, 8 years, and this will be his 4th team because of free agency, that they are going to give him some kind of contract that is going to potentially equal $72 million. Can you imagine giving DJ Reed, who's had a good career, but it's only had 6 interceptions in 8 years, makes a plethora of tackles, will be on his 4th team, had Sauce Gardner on the other side of him, but we are going to give him $72 million. The rumor is we are going to give him $72 million. If you give DJ Reed $72 million, I am going to vomit. Not that he's a bad player, but he's just not the guy that you want to see. There's a report right now also that the Giants are waiting on Aaron Rodgers as free agency begins. If Aaron Rodgers has the ability to go to Pittsburgh, because right now he's linked with the Steelers. If he has because of the fact that Justin Fields evidently is getting multiple offers, and one of those offers is with the Jets. So if he has an opportunity to go to the Steelers, where would you rather go? Would you rather flame out your final career in New York or head to Pittsburgh and potentially play for a championship under Tomlin? It's not that people are avoiding the Giants because of Joe Shane. It's not because I don't think they're avoiding the Giants because of John Mara. I think they're just avoiding the Giants because the Giants aren't good. And they aren't going to be good. We did the live stream yesterday where we figured out that the Giants were, if we broke down the starting roster, 22 guys, that we are probably going to need 12 starters. Now, you don't have all these picks in the draft. You don't have 20 picks in the draft. So you're going to have to go out to free agency and sign these guys and go out and get these guys. But the problem is this, like I said, the Giants just are not a good team. So when you're not a good team, it's not the fact that you people don't want to come here because of one person. It's because people don't want to come here because of the fact that they understand that when the team is finally good, they are probably not going to be in the prime of their career. And do you want to waste 3 years in the prime of your career and then wait for the Giants finally to be good? DK Metcalf, that was a shocking move. Also, one of the offensive tackles just left the free agent market yesterday. Ronnie Stanley re-signs with the Baltimore Ravens, 3 years, $60 million. He would have been an interesting pick for the Giants. Also, if you look at the interior stuff, I know everyone's talking about DJ Jones re-signed with the Denver Broncos, 3 years, $39 million. Adam Butler re-signed with the Raiders for 3 years, $16.5. Ernest Jones re-signed, of course, with the Seahawks for 3 years, $33 million. Sherwood, who I thought maybe the Giants would have some interest in, re-signed with Jets for 3 years, $45 million. There is just a lot of names that are out there right now that you kind of just scratch your head. The Bills were also busy. They re-signed Gregory, Mr. 305, re-signed for 4 years, $80 million. Everyone that's followed this channel for a while knows that I loved Mr. 305. They've also released the likes of Von Miller, so he is going to probably be the object of the eye of certain Giants affections. T. Higgins, of course, was franchise tagged for that 1 year for $26.2 million. You got a bunch of other guys that, like I said, that have let's see, Derek Barnes over Detroit re-signed 3 years, $25 million. So did Marcus Davenport for 1 year, $4.7 over in Detroit. Of course, there was the release of Evan Ingram, which was kind of big news. And of course, you have the Geno Smith trade. You have the Raiders extending Matt Crosby for $106 million over 3. Devontae Adams, 2 years. Devontae Adams got 2 years, $46 million from the Rams. You think that had anything to do with Matthew Stafford coming back? Do you think that had anything to do that Devontae Adams sat there and said, holy shit, I could go play in LA and the Dome with Matthew Stafford and potentially have an opportunity to win? Holy shit. I love it. The Giants, though, busy getting Tommy DeVito. Re-signed, of course, the long snapper, Casey. We wrapped up the Scottish Hammer for 3 years, $10.2. Zach Bond is also re-signed with the Eagles, 3 years, $51 million. Saquon Barkley, of course, got that extension, that 2 year, $41.2 million deal as well. Big Slay has been released. Same with James Bradbury. Slay, you know what? People have already been talking about Slay. Slay with me is on the bottom end of his career. He had good moments and a good run in Philadelphia, but I don't want big play Slay here. Sorry, guys. I don't want it here. Let's see what we got going on the chat real quick. So I got some things I want to talk about for easy. Mike Lee says, we have been a downward trend ever since the brain trust of Joe Shane and Brian have changed everything. What did we say? We don't deserve, says James Williams, to get any good players until we prove we're a good organization. And that's the thing. We need to be a good organization. And like I said, I love Amani Toomer. I love number 80. I love number 81. I always thought he was underrated as a Giant for all the 1,000-yard seasons he had put up, because, if you go back in time, the Giants had limited 1,000-yard seasons before Amani Toomers. You had the likes of Ernest Gray back in, I think, in 83. You had Homer Jones. You had Lionel Manuel, I think, at one point in 87, or I can't remember exactly, but you didn't have a lot of 1,000-yard receivers with the Giants until Amani Toomer came around to give you multiple seasons. But like I said, I don't believe it's because of Joe Shane. I believe it's because the Giants just suck. You're 9-7-1. You then go and win 6 games, and then you win 3. You need about 12 starters, and you probably need about 11 backups, because that's one of the biggest issues with the Giants. We don't have anyone to back up anybody. Our starters go down. We're looking at the pizza shop for Tommy. Thank God I wasn't at the pizza shop that day when they needed a quarterback, because they probably would have signed me.
I don't like it. Make you feel all funny.
That's the way I feel right now heading into free agency. I see the overpaidness. I see it. I see it. It makes me cringe. Fabian with a big old super chat coming in and saying, hold on, coming in and saying, you're right. No one wants to come here. And like I said, that's just the gist of it. That's the end of it. And I'm not saying the Giants aren't going to sign guys in free agency, but I'm going to tell you this: they are going to overpay. If your big ticket free agent item right now that everyone is reporting is $72 million to DJ Reed, great balls of fire. That's nuts. Good corner. Good second corner. But you're going to put them on the one side against their best wide receivers who Sauce Gardner covered, and you're going to tell this 5'8", 188-pound corner, you're the guy. You're the lockdown guy towards the end of your career. And we're going to give you $72 million. And you've only hit 6 interceptions in 9 years. And it wasn't even a joke. It's the final countdown. Ba-da-da-da. Oh, Mike Lee says we all know Wildy Coyote is so well. The Dark Fiend says, yeah, not looking good for us. It's the final countdown. What's up, all Broadway? Mr. Taz says, hey, Tim, did you hear? We already got the chat sports one. That was pretty funny because that's probably what they're saying. David says, based on those figures, Giants would give me $100,000 just for taking a crap in the morning. Well, you know what? I took a $400,000 crap this morning. I'm still waiting for my check, Joe Shane. I loved it yesterday.
Stupid giant Twitter post.
Oh, this one comes out to someone I don't even remember their name, but they said to me, oh, after listening and watching your show and everything else yesterday, we might as well just not play the season because you're so negative about everything. When did honesty become negativity? And as things start playing out, as you see these free agents sign that were just recently released and go to other teams, and they were the alleged object of the Giants' affection. How is that being negative? Mike Lee says Giants overpay for players. Now the Giants way they outbid themselves at least for $5 million a year. Sign Rodgers, draft a quarterback 3. That would probably be Shedeur Sanders, and don't trade up. I think you have to trade up. What's up, big Chris Love of MMA? I think you got to trade up. Cleveland gave Myles Garrett all that cash. They gave him all that cheddar. Tennessee needs a quarterback. And if the quarterback Stafford's off the board, if Rodgers comes off the board, I know the ownership has mentioned because again, I tell people this, and I tell you this in earnest. When I said that Matthew Stafford wasn't coming here, he was staying in LA before he even signed. It wasn't because I had this great epiphany. It's not because I had inside knowledge about anything. It's because of the fact that I went on media from LA. I got outside Giant bubble and I went over and looked at some of the papers, LA papers. I looked at some of the LA websites. I listened to some of the LA talk radio, and they all said the same thing, that this is just because Matthew Stafford wants more money and they're using this as kind of kind of a little bit of leverage, and he's going to resign. I did my research. That's all it was. I do a minimum research. I'm not going to lie to you. I do minimal research anymore, but I did my research in reference to that. And I wish that other people would do that. Just take a moment and research what you're looking at and what you're looking for, because of the fact that you would then see we're not being negative. We're just researching the facts. And I know facts are not a heady thing for a lot of people, but that's just what we're doing. James Stein said, it appears the Giants are just going to screw up free agency, overpay for players because one, Joe Shane is an idiot, and the Giants are just playing bad moves. They should just clean house. Taz says, breaking news, Chat Sports says Andy Reid volunteered to be the Giants OC, and Buddy Ryan came back from the dead to DC. Chat Sports is always right. They're so right at being wrong. If loving you is wrong, T-Brad says, can we bring back Daniel Jones? Yeah. Yo, Tim, Daryl in chat. What's up, Daryl? I haven't seen Daryl in a while. A lot of fans didn't believe the free agents wouldn't want to come here. Look at us now. Free agents will come here, guys. If you build it, they will come. I mean, think about it. Ray built a baseball field in his corn, and dead people showed up. So we should change it. If you overpay, they will come. That's it. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to overpay. And you're going to overpay for guys that are good players. You're going to overpay for guys that are good players that aren't going to move the win total. They're not going to move the needle on the win total. But you're going to overpay to get them. And that's just what the Giants did last year. The Giants have done this for the last couple of years. You overpaid John Runyon. And John Runyon's not that good. You overpaid Brian Burns to get him, and then you gave him the contract for 8.5 sacks. That's not a good thing. You know, you overpay. I love Ellie Moore Fudd. You overpaid him, though. From what he gave you overpaid him. Greg Roten at times gave you a better opportunity. And what did he get? Greg Roten. You're going to overpay to get guys. You can't even get rid of Motor. Motorhead. Can't even get rid of him. Why? Because he's got a $6 million dead cap number against a $6 million salary. You're still giving Daniel Jones $22 million to not be here. I always think of the scene in Moneyball with Dave Justice. When Billy Bean came down and talked to Dave Justice in batting cage and told Dave Justice, no, the Yankees are paying me $8 million for you to play against them. That's what the Giants are doing right now. Can you imagine if the Giants are really going with Dart? If the Giants go with Dart, I mean, my brain might fucking explode. And, you know, I know Giant fans want to have this crutch. They want to have this hope. It's, you know what? It's funny. It's the Great White Hope. Go watch the movie The Great White Hype with Samuel Jackson and Damon Wayans. Good boxing movie. Good boxing movie. I just love there's a scene in that movie when Jeff Goldblum was trying to blackmail Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson's in the tub and he's got these pictures of him with all these girls, and and he goes, Samuel Jackson asks him, what is your goal? And he goes, my goal is to take you down. And Samuel Jackson says, I like you. You have this stupid blind faith in yourself. And that's what Joe Shane reminds me of. Joe Shane has this stupid blind faith. And if you go watch the movie, Jeff Goldblum's boxer at the end got knocked the fuck out in the first round by the Grim Reaper. That's what happened. And that's what the Giants are doing. Smash that like, says big old Chris. James says, Tim, the end of the season tickets halfway to Buffalo. Most of you are all wits with why any serious free agents would come here. A free agent's going to come here. I am going to tell you, free agents will come here. Like I said, if you overpay them, they will come. They are going to show up. But I don't see this people beating down the door to get to New York. When Josh Jacobs went to Green Bay, yeah, he got paid. But he talked about the fact that when he went and talked to Green Bay, they talked about culture. They talked about winning. They talked about the prestige of being a Packer. They sold him on the legacy of the franchise. And that's what he even said when in one of his interviews. They really sold me on the legacy of this franchise. Yeah, and he's still got money to go there. But the problem was this. They sold it. They sold him on it. Joe Shane, if you watched Hard Knocks, which is still the worst thing ever to fucking happen for the New York Giants, you saw the fact that what we sold people on was overpaying. And that's what we're going to end up doing. We're just going to overpay. And I don't want people to sit there thinking that this is being negative. It's just being honest. You are going to pay few $1 million, if not more $5 million more for certain free agents just to come here, because most people are going to know we're not going to win anytime soon. And that's it. That's really all. That's really all. At the end of the day, that's all there is to it. And that's what we have to look at. So, like I said, I love Amani Toomer, but I don't sit there and tell you the fact that Amani Toomer is sitting right saying they don't want to come here because of Joe Shane, because he also doesn't like Joe Shane. I don't like Joe Shane either. But as a free agent, you're not only looking at Joe Shane, you're looking at ownership, you're looking at the city, you're looking at where you're going to put your kids, you're looking at the taxes, you are looking at the head coach, you're looking at the defensive or offensive coordinator, you look at the roster itself and say, can I make this roster better? And that's what free agents, they look at everything, not just the general manager. General manager, they have to be happy with, because that general manager is going to sign their check. And also that general manager is going to build this roster. And we've seen how Joe Shane, we've said it before, how does he build a roster?
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
That's what he always does. He ice skates uphill. He had the opportunity. We went out and got Malik Neighbors last year. Excellent pick. I like the Neighbors pick. The only problem is this. If you looked in the future and you saw what was coming up, in free agency in 2025 and in the draft in 2025, would you have done something different? Would you have traded out of that spot, picked up someone like a Penix, and then turned around and grabbed a wide receiver like a Ladd McConkey or a Brian Thomas Jr.? Knowing what you know now, of course, 2020, hindsight's always 2020. But let's just go back. We're going to go back a little bit here, guys, and look at that draft. And that's what players look at as well. Can they trust management to make the right moves to put the team in a position to win? If you are looking, if I am I'm not picking on DJ Reed. Not picking on DJ Reed at all. But DJ Reed is looking for his big contract. This will be DJ Reed's final life-altering contract. So the question is it more important for him to win, or is it important to come to a franchise where he is going to get paid? You can go somewhere that's a good franchise and still win, but you may get $10, $15 million less. I always go back to Carmelo Anthony forcing himself at that trade out of Denver. When he forced a trade out of Denver to the Knicks, he was a free agent. He was an unrestricted free agent the following year. And everyone was like, you are going to gut this roster to get Melo when he's a free agent next year, and you could just sign him next year. But Melo forced a trade. Why did Melo force the trade? Because the collective bargaining agreement, they had a new one, which was taking effect the following season, which would have cost him like $30, $40 million in salary that he could get if he forced a trade and signed an extension that year with the Knicks. And that's what you have to look at with some of these players. This is going to be their life-altering money contract. This is going to set their, if done right, this will set their family up for life. Is it more important to win, or is it more important to get that life-altering dollars? Hit the like button, says James. Here's some positivity. A positive, we will suck next season. We have never traded up. Well, we technically traded up with the Eli Manning trade. We technically made the trade for Manning. We didn't trade the pick. We made the trade, but technically we did. Giants have become a retirement money grab. I don't disagree with that. Avery says the Titans said they'll be tending towards taking Ward. Browns are saying that, like Sanders, it could be grim. From an hour from now, we will start to tell the story. Here's the story of a lovely lady who works over in Tennessee. She already said once she got burned with Malik Willis and Will Levis. So we'll have to see. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. Mr. Taz says, breaking news, Bad Dog Sports says, Giants are now hiring Howard Rosenby, Joe Shane's right in men. They'll take to the motion just to be in New York. Big Davey says, Tim, here's what it is. Here's what I do. I would punt this season, not pick up a quarterback in the first round, knowing they're a bust. I pick the Syracuse kid in the 5th round, and I take an O-line at quarterback in 3rd overall. I don't like any of the quarterbacks 3rd overall. I don't like any quarterbacks in this draft to take 3rd overall. You're going to do that, you trade back. I just keep harking back to this. The Giants, for the last couple seasons, are not playing long ball. They're playing immediate. Years back in the 90s when the Mets tried to buy a pennant, there's a book about it called The Worst Team Money Can Buy. Brought in all these free agents, brought in all these guys, and it just didn't work. It just fell apart, and they won like 60 games. The Giants are playing for the moment now, and I've said this a million times before. The Giants would rather be relevant now than good for the next 10 years. And that's the problem with Joe Shane. And that's the problem with having a guy who was under the gun, who a head coach and the general manager could potentially be fired by Thanksgiving, steering the ship. It's like you already hit the iceberg. Joe Shane not only hit the iceberg, he started turning the wheel, and he ran into a Chevy. That's what Joe Shane is doing. He is just steering the ship in every misdirection. And we are going into year 4 now of the misdirection. And there is a wreckage. There's the Hindenburg wreckage, and there's the Titanic wreckage, and there's Joe Shane. There is a wreckage of his work. And we are saying, oh, Joe, here is $60 million. And you may have 60 plus million. No doubt about it. But here's the problem with that 60 plus million. You don't have a quarterback on your roster. Justin Fields is talking to Joe and the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is already talking about going to Pittsburgh. There are better opportunities for players to be good and win and get paid than the Giants. People say to me, Tim, why would Justin Fields want to go to the Jets? Because the Jets actually have talent on their roster. I mean, that's just great. Doing research is just too hard, mentally hard. Makes it so much easier. Doge has gotten involved with the Giants organization. James says, content creators have always been researching for crumbs with videos in the past month. Davies said, I will take a repeat. I will not take Travis Hunter. He's a bust. I don't like two-way players because it all means he's a great either offense or defense. Give me one great one position. He's Gordy Lockbaum. I'll wait till people go Google. I like to people go Google the Holy Cross, Gordy Lockbaum. I always bring up, he was actually a two-way player back in Holy Cross, and I played against him in high school. That's the only reason I bring up Gordy Lockbaum. Giants will sign Daniel Jones for a contract that he did 2 years ago. Draft darted 3 while Charles Henderson standards are still on the board. Yeah, I could see that happening. The problem is Mara. What's up, Stu? Neverone says the problem is that Marshall at Chat Sports comes up with these predictions after the fireball shots. He must come up with something. People are like, you really don't like Chat Sports. I've never watched a Chat Sports video. I get reports from other people, and I get thumbnails sent to me. And people are like, well, why can't you be like more like them and you can get 20,000 views? Okay, I could get 20,000 views and not be able to live with myself that I lied. Sure. But I have what they refer to, and it's this bad, ugly word, integrity. I'd rather tell you like it is and be honest instead of being more popular and just making shit up. I'm not good for social media. Giants are on par with the Browns. Yeah, James and I were talking about that the other day. Striders up, Tim. Thanks for having me on yesterday. You're more than welcome. You did a great job. Tim, what are you talking about? We're going to win 10 games this year. Obi-Wan, who was more the fool or the fool who follows them? What's up, Jesse? Yo. Mark Hernandez. What's up, Mark? How's everything going, my friend? I haven't started you in a while. What's up, Tim? Let's go, G-Men. I'm here with the readiness. How dare you, Tommy? All right, what did Tommy do? Who wants to go to a quarterbackless team? That's the other thing. That's a great point. You're a wide receiver. You're Chris Godwin. You're looking around. Okay, well, I can go to the Giants, or maybe I can go to Kansas City, or maybe I can go to the Rams, or maybe I can go to Baltimore. Oh, I'll go to New York. That'll make my career, because as a wide receiver, I don't need anyone to throw me the ball. Why don't I just do that? Who are they going to get? Are we going to roll back out with Tyrod Taylor? Listen, I love the OG QB like 3 years ago. But what are we going to roll with? If you're a wide receiver, if you're tight end, hell, if you're an offensive lineman, why would you look at this team if you're an offensive lineman and say, hey, I got a great idea. I'll go to New York. You know who they have?
Jersey. Sure. Tommy.
Wait for the beat drop.
You got Jersey Shore Tommy. And what about Brian Burns? Joe Shane is trying ice skate uphill, tap dance, slow dancing. Hey, Tim, what about Brian Burns? Mark Hernandez says, what are you thinking for Angie quarterback class? What do you do in the draft? Stick at 3. Here's what I do in free agency quarterback class. I think Justin Fields is going to go somewhere. We were talking about Justin Fields yesterday, about how he wants to go to an opportunity where he can showcase his skills and get that next big contract. My question is this: does he have confidence in Brian Daboll and the New York Giants to be that pedestal or that jumping off point? I think you're going to get stuck with like a we said it yesterday with OGR Sports. I think you're going to get stuck with like a Marcus Mariota. I think that's going to be Carson Wentz. I think that's going to be your ceiling. I don't think maybe Russell Wilson eats some pride and some dollars and comes to New York after we told him a year ago, you're not good enough to beat out Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is our starter, and you're not good enough for us to give you $1 million because he only wanted the veteran minimum. I still think if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I go to, well, first of all, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I go to Minnesota. I follow the Brett Favre lineage. I first go to the Packers, then to the Jets, then to the Vikings. I follow that lineage. But I keep looking at the fact that you're going to get like a mark. You need to pick something that's going to, you need to, we are going to know the direction of this franchise after starting tomorrow, Wednesday at 4 p.m. or 12 p.m., whatever it is. We're going to know the direction of the franchise because of the fact that, do you grab a Russell Wilson? Does Russell Wilson say, listen, I will come to New York. You didn't want me for $1.3 million last year. It's going to cost you $12 to $15 million for me to come this year. Do you do a Justin Fields who may take Mitchell Trubisky money from 2 years ago? He went to Pittsburgh and take like $9 million. Do you go and get a washed up Kirk Cousins? Because Kirk Cousins is washed up. Anyone that's watched him play, do you go out and get a washed up Kirk Cousins? Or do you look at this free agency class of quarterbacks and say, I'm probably going to end up with Marcus Mariota? Do you go the Joe Flacco route? I'm not doing Zach Wilson. I've did this before. Not doing Sam Darnold, not doing Zach Wilson, not doing Trey Lance, not doing Jacoby Brissett, not doing Heineke, might do Marcus Mariota, fuck off on lock, I would like Justin Fields. You may end up with a Joe Flacco. If you end up with Jameis Winston, that's going to be fun for like a week. Not doing Mac Jones, not doing Carson Wentz, not doing the Garoppolo, not doing Case Keenum, not doing Mason Rudolph, not doing Cooper Rush, not doing Brandon Allen, not doing Nick Mullins. Russell Wilson, I think, would get destroyed on this team. I know Bailey Zappi's still out there. Daniel Jones is still out there. But out of the things that don't make me want to vomit, I mean, I could do like Marcus Mariota for $6 million, $7 million. I can't do Sam Darnold because I don't think Sam Darnold would ever want to come near the MetLife again. I see dead people. When you're seeing ghosts, you're not going to go back to where the ghosts are. This is what I never got about horror movies. You know there's a killer in the house. You know it's fucking haunted. But you go back? No. Zach Wilson's not going to do that. Sam Darnold's not going to do it. Zach Wilson's not going to do that. There's a guy running around with a fucking chainsaw, blood all over him, in your living room. You don't go back and say, hey, you know what? I really like the sconches in this house. Average to below average players. I agree. No elite players want to come here. I think an elite player may come here, but he's gonna get paid. That's it. He's gonna get paid. And to your point, you got to draft these guys. Our biggest issues is we don't draft. Well, we do draft, but players go other places to get better. We don't cultivate talent. And I love this whole thing about now is we need a running mate for Dexter Lawrence. We need a running mate for Dexter. Dexter wants to be Aaron Donald. And I've said it before. Name me the counterpart to Aaron Donald. To Aaron Donald when he was with the Rams. Don't say Dominican Sue. You want to get paid. No Bucks, no Buck Rogers. You want to get paid. You got to prove that you are that elite player. Last year's draft and offseason is going to keep coming back to kick Joe in the ass until all the quarterbacks get fired. James Stein said John Mara should have been fired, Joe Shane, at the end of last season. No way we run it back with these losers. Tim, what's up, Trent? Tim, what's up, big man? Ready for free agency. I am ready for free agency. I am so excited. I remember that team. That team was signed Jeff Torborg, Bobby Bonilla, Vince Coleman, Brett Saberhang, and Frank Viola. I'll tell you a little story about Frank Viola. Frank Viola is kind of a dick. When I lived in Florida, I ran into Frank Viola like 7-8 times. And there was a place called the Altamont Springs Mall. And he was always there. I don't know why he was always there. It was after he retired. And I tried to talk to him. I told him, I've told him, and you know what? I was never one of these people that don't ask for autographs. I don't ask for autographs. I don't ask to take pictures. I don't do any of those things. So it doesn't do anything for me. But I do like to talk sports. I do like to talk baseball. I do like to talk things. One of the nicest guys I ever met was Tim Raines. And he was funny because I was buying sunglasses, and him and his son were standing next to me. They were buying Oakleys. And I saw it was Tim Raines. I said, hey, Rock, because they used to call him the Rock in Montreal. And he let me wear his Yankees World Series ring. Great guy. Great guy. And it was funny because I told him, I said, I'm walking out with this. I had the ring. I'm walking out with this. I hope you're okay. And I said, I know you're in your 40s, so I think I can outrun you now. But Frank Viola was a dick. Every time I tried to talk to him, he was just a dick. We're like the Knicks teams in the early 2000s. Can't draft right and overpay for aging free agents. Wildy Coyote's not smart enough to trade back, says Mike Lee. The long-term plans are to build a competent roster. Stu says we should move up to 3 last. No, we weren't getting Jay Daniels last, right? I don't blame him for that one whatsoever. Joe saw the iceberg and gave the order full speed ahead. What's up, Evan? I prefer Russell Wilson for a year than Rodgers. I really don't want either one of them. You're talking about two brittle guys with a suspect offensive line, an undersized center, an all-world left tackle who's always hurt, a guard in John Runyon where the nice thing they said in Green Bay about him was don't pull the guard because he trips over his own feet, and the guy that was a third-round pick that replaced him turned into an all-pro. And I love it because now the center for the Packers is available. And and if you go look up in Green Bay media, one thing they tell you, the big conversation about the center for Green Bay is he the weakest link on that line? So he's a giant. Davey says, Tim, yes, we do have quarterbacks on the roster. Not a good one. That's true. Davey, how is Travis Hunter a bust? Crawl back under your rock, Davey Schoen. You're talking reckless. Be real at least. I will say this about Travis Hunter. I did a video about it. Travis Hunter, in my mind, can be a bust. But there's a caveat. He can be a bust because of the fact that I think a lot of people think he's going to be this two-way guy that he was in Colorado. If it's me, I take Travis Hunter. And I've already said it. If Shador and Cam are gone, I'm taking Travis Hunter. I'm making him a corner. Plain and simple. Why? Because I think he has the lockdown skills of a true Deion Sanders-esque lockdown corner. The only problem is he literally went to the Deion Sanders school of tackling. I was going to tackle him, but there was a butterfly. I don't want to hurt the butterfly. He never saw a tackle he didn't want to make. And I think Giant fans would ride this kid's ass because I would only put him in like 5 plays on the offense. This kid he's slight of build. He's tall. He's slight of build. I think he's going to be like Devontae Smith. I don't think he's going to put on weight, but I think he's a good locked. He's something the Giants need. He is a guy that prevents people from catching the ball. Drew Phillips' claim to fame is all of his tackles, but the league completed almost 80% of their passes against him. Same thing with Deonte Banks. Great that you make all the tackles, but you literally have to tackle somebody. So, I mean, you got to stop it. It's a great thing. If you prevent someone from catching the ball, you don't have to tackle him. Drew Phillips had 1 pass defense all year and 1 interception, which is his first interception since high school, which was a gift. Travis Hunter is a bust because his girlfriend, fiance, will sleep with half the team. I always think that's pretty funny. Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Let's see here. Oh, Zach Attack. We were just talking about you, Zach Attack, in the OBB house. We're trying to figure out when you're graduating. Russell Wilson seems to be the likely option for the Giants. He could possibly be the only quarterback left. Russell Wilson's going to have to suck it up. And I think there are better options for Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson is literally going to have to suck it up. Go back to, make sure you hit the like button, guys. Go back to Joe Shane, who didn't want him for $1.5 million last year because he wasn't going to be able to compete against Daniel Jones because it was the year of Daniel. Is there a way to delete that entire Hard Knocks so it's never seen again? I know Disney, and they don't do it anymore. I don't think Disney does it anymore. Disney used to put movies into the archives, and they would stay in the archives for years, and you'd never see them again. Then they would finally release this. They're releasing Snow White from the archives. Is there a way to do that with that Hard Knocks? Because every time I watch that Hard Knocks, I want to vomit. And I watch it, my head hurts, and I go, this literally is to the point where you are watching stupidity in motion. You're watching stupidity and incompetence in the same spot, occupy the same space. I thought certain matter could not occupy the same space. I learned that in one of my science classes. We just need to get rid of it. Jennifer, what's up, Jennifer? I haven't seen you in a long time. Oh my God, the Giants never changed from Craig Morton to Kerry Collins. How many washed-up quarterbacks can this franchise bring in to waste years? Please, Pittsburgh, save us from Rodgers' 3-year bubble. Kerry Collins was a good quarterback. Kerry Collins took us to a Super Bowl. Craig Morton, you know, everyone knows the story. For the new people that are watching, I will tell the story. When I was young, my first season was in MetLife, or no, the Meadowlands. It was the first year they opened the Meadowlands was 76. I was a little kid, and Craig Morton was starting quarterback. In that first home game, we lost to the Dallas Cowboys. And Craig Morton had a horrific Giant career, horrific season. And that Christmas, my grandmother, R.I.P., got me a Craig Morton jersey, or just a number. It didn't say Morton on the back, but it was a Giants jersey that said 15. And it was a Craig Morton jersey. And I cried. I cried on Christmas and never put it on. It literally sat in a drawer at my mother's house for like 40 years. I don't even know if it's still there. It's probably still there in the cellophane. I have to go look this week. It's probably still in the cellophane in the drawer. I'm guessing the Giants signed Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. That's a good guess. Kerry Collins had some good years, up and down. He was up and down, but he did take us to the Super Bowl in 2000. Giants are a good situation to go, but players know that Joe Shane is going to overpay them. That's the thing. Like I said, free agents will come here. And that's going to be our new soundbite. I'm going to have to work on it for free agency with Ray Kinsella. If you overpay them, they will come. That's the new soundbite. Let's see here. Davey says, Tim, would you take Kerry Collins? Yeah, I would take Kerry Collins again. What does you have to do with Travis Hunter? You are goofy for real. Can we get rid of? No, we're not going to get rid of Davey. Just because we don't agree with someone doesn't mean we get rid of a T-Brod's in his house saying Justin Fields should be our play in free agency. I think Justin Fields should be the play in free agency. If you're looking for a quarterback, if you are not going, here's the thing. This is I just had an epiphany.
That's what she said.
You need a corner. You need a CB1. Or potentially a CB2. Or a CB4. Because the sweat from my balls. You need a CB1 or CB2. Big time. You need a quarterback. Like, beyond need a quarterback. Beyond need a quarterback. Beyond Thunderdome. You need a quarterback. Here's the thing I'm thinking about. If you grab like a DJ Reed in free agency, does that mean you are going to, if everything falls the way you think it's going to fall and the top two quarterbacks are gone, that you're going to pass on a Travis Hunter because you just gave DJ Reed $72 million? Or do you take Travis Hunter and then make him a wide receiver, which I don't think is going to work? I think he's going to be basically Devontae Smith. So this free agency, or do you take a Russell Wilson, or you take a Justin Fields with the thought process that he is your quarterback for the next 2-3 years? You don't take a quarterback till late in the draft, and you take like a Kyle McCord in the 5th round or 6th or 7th round, and then you hope they project into something, and then you still wait another 2-3 years before you grab a quarterback. Which way do you go? Where do you go? My lovely Gio from New Jersey says, this guy keeps saying the same thing over and over again. He makes a valid point, but that's all there is. So I'm valid.
Get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Go back to Jersey, you fucking moron. Go back to Jersey. Did Twitter crash? I don't know. Did Trigger die? I don't know. I thought it was X. We made another smart play for Joe Shane. Turned down Russell Wilson to pay more money for Drew Lock. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Timmy, if you could take 1 minute a week on a month and a year forever. What about Joe Flacco? You know what's scary? Joe Flacco threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in that win. Another thing I haven't seen yet is why are Giant fans not talking about Anthony Richardson? There's already talk in Indianapolis that he's not the guy. That he's the big strong-arm dude that just can't read defenses and all he likes to do is run and get hurt. Why haven't we talked about trading for him yet? That's usually a standard thing that we do. Let's trade for the guy that's no good. That's the Nick way. Joe Flacco, Joe Flacco is going to cost you less. If you literally, it's funny that you bring up Joe Flacco. I have to think about this for a second. You brought up Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has made $180+ million his entire career. He played for $4 million last year. Statistically speaking, he is a guy that's in his 40s, I think. You could probably get him. He started 6 games in Indianapolis. Averaged 220 yards a game. Threw for 1,700 yards, 12 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions. He had those. He had that. It's funny. If you are looking to save, okay. I'm trying not to talk myself into Joe Flacco. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of you want to save money, you want to build into free agency next year, because maybe you're not taking a quarterback this year and you want a guy that's probably not going to start 17 games, maybe start 10 or 12, and at $4 million, Joe Flacco, I do think Joe Flacco is confident enough. Competent enough. Oh, we got the Dark Friend coming over to the OG Online Club. Join the OG Club, OG Members Club. What you get? You get all your videos early. You get all the podcasts early. You get all the notifications alert and all that fun stuff. So welcome. Welcome the avenue. Welcome. Let's see here. So why call Travis on our bus? He has nothing to do with the question. He asked me, but okay, we're not going to get into the bus thing again. Let's leave the Travis on our bus thing. Says, okay, Tim is all in on Jameis Winston. Sweet. Just kidding. I cannot do Jameis Winston.
That's what she said.
Jameis Winston, going back to Florida State, fun guy. You would want to party with Jameis Winston. You would want, if you wanted to go out and have a great time, Jameis Winston is your guy. The only problem is you are then going to have to put him on the field, and he is going to be maddening. He is literally going to drive you insane. Why? Because of the fact that it's just his persona. It's just what he does. He is going to show you good plays. He's going to show you bad plays, and he's literally going to drive you up a fucking wall. And I think you need to look at that from that perspective. That the guy is going to be the life of the party. Everyone's going to love him until Sunday. Yeah, I was just thinking about college quarterbacks that are life for the party. And I was actually thinking about The Bachelor. That was weird. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about The Bachelor. Jesse Palmer, former Giant 4th round pick. I met Jesse Palmer at the after the Ball State game back in, I think it was September of 2000. And there's a strip outside of Gainesville where everyone goes and hangs out. And this was when he was competing also with Rex Grossman. And I had a lot of fun that night with Jesse Palmer and his friends. I always tell, like I said, thank God there wasn't Twitter and all these other things. Well, it might not be Twitter now because everyone says Twitter's down. But thank God you didn't have these things when they had, when I was around. I always tell people. T. Brad said, I just heard Joe Shane is signing Drew Lock to more money. He gave him more money already. Zacatec says, Giants legend Armin Tuner on USP Radio. So I've seen enough of Joe Shane. Ads players around the league are avoiding the Giants in free agency because they see a sinking ship. But the thing is this, a sinking ship. You can plug the holes on a sinking ship with cash. Take wads of 20s and just shove them in the holes.
That's what she said.
Sorry, I had to. Just had to on that one. Some people are going to come here. I don't doubt that. I'm not going to say that no free agents are going to come to the Giants. But I am saying this, that you are going to pay for these guys to come here. And that's it. You're going to pay for them. And if you're going to overpay the likes of, like we said, we talked about it before. If you're going to overpay the likes of a DJ Reed, you're going to give him 72. That's the rumors. It's $72 million for DJ Reed. If you're going to overpay for a guy like that, then that's what you're going to overpay for. You're still going to get a good corner. You're going to get, I don't know if he's that lockdown guy outside of the fact that he did have Sauce Gardner on the other side of the line. He'll be on his 4th team for his career, 28 years old. I think people literally more call him the prototypical 2 second corner. He's got some links to some of the coaching staffs over in San Francisco and Las Vegas. But if I'm going to overpay for someone, I'm going with Byron Murphy. I've talked about this. Pro Bowler, young guy, still 27. He can play inside, he can play out, he could be a press guy. Now we don't press anymore with Shane Bowen. It's not. This is why Deontay Banks went down. But he has the most talent. If we're looking for if you're the Giants, and we talked about it yesterday, if you're looking for a young corner who does not play press coverage, who would fit the Shane Bowen system, Asante Samuel Jr. is the guy. Now, you'd have to get over the poor tackling because, again, he comes from Deion Sanders. He comes from his father could tackle, which I thought was funny. But if you get over the poor tackling, you get over the fact that he's never going to play man-to-man. He's never going to play press coverage. But he would be. I think he would be steady in the right system for the Giants. And I think the right system would be the Giants. And he is a playmaker in the secondary, which we haven't seen in the last few years. But if you're looking at pure talent, I've said it before, pure talent, I'm taking Brian Murphy over DJ Reed. Year younger, has shown a natural progression. He's got that little nasty streak in him, and he's 5'11" compared to DJ Reed's 5'8". Like I said, I come from the Mark Haynes school with a prototypical 6'3", 225-pound corner, but we don't have those anymore. But it makes more sense. James says we draft good players, we just don't keep them. Nope, we don't. Giants pick up Von Miller, says Mr. Taz, for 5 years, $260 million, $200 million guaranteed. That would be a giant move. I keep saying it over and over again. Were you ever a Brian? This is what makes my head hurt sometimes with the whole Brian Burns thing. Were the Giants ever a Brian Burns away from being good? When you looked at that 2024 roster, did you look at it and say, If we had another defensive end who could only give us 8 sacks and not play the run well, and who only played on bad teams in Carolina and produced, would he fit here? No, we were never a Brian Burns away. What's that? I don't want to think Cleveland will draft quarterback. Their track record on quarterback development is horrendous. Dion will not let his son go. Plus, they are paying Winston. Yeah, they're still paying Winston, but he tore his second Achilles. He keeps tearing his Achilles. So, can we stop with the fucking Travis Hunter thing? You're both about to get wonkered. James says, I'm Justin Fields. I'm Justin Fields. I'm going to the Jets. Better players and no Joe Shane. I'm Justin Fields. I go to the Jets too. I'm Justin Fields, and they don't sign Aaron Rodgers, and Tomlin makes that commitment to me. I'm staying in Pittsburgh. But I think Tomlin, because of the fact that the dogs are out against Tomlin, Tomlin's reaching that. He's reaching the he is reaching the Tom Coughlin era, where he's at the end of his career, probably there. But the difference is with Mike Tomlin instead of Tom Coughlin is Coughlin was losing. Tomlin's still making the playoffs, but he's not getting to the final. He's not getting to the promised land. That's why the dogs are out in Pittsburgh, that they want to get rid of Tomlin. If you're Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, you just made the big trade for a big wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers makes more sense than either Russell Wilson but you're hoping again that you're turning back the clock and you're getting Aaron Rodgers from 5 years ago. Strider says, I agree, James. We just need to put up with the Jets owner who listens to his son and who gets on Madden. A lot of people in the Giant League get on Madden. Yeah, no two-way stuff for Hunter. Maybe, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 plays for Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter he is not undersized. He's underweight. There's a difference. Drew Phillips says Zach is a wannabe Prince Amukamura without the ball skills. I love Prince Amukamura, but he's another guy who couldn't catch a fucking ball and save his life at times. You know what? If you're speedy and you can play football and you can't catch the ball, they make you a corner. Let's see. I graduate May 18th, 2025. Well, congratulations. We're gonna have to have the graduation show for Big Zach Attack. What's up? Hey, Tim. I have a feeling you hate everything about this team and some of the players. What would you do? Generally curious. What I would do? Generally curious. You want to know what I'm doing? Generally curious. If it was true that Tennessee, yeah, and I do hate this team, like not the team personally, and I do hate most of the players because there's not a very good roster, and we haven't really drafted well, and people go gaga over guys that had to play last year. And I've said this a million times before. On a bad team, someone still has to run the ball and make the tackles. Doesn't mean you're good. Just means you're on a bad team. If the rumors were true that Tennessee would take a swap of first and 2/3, I'm sitting there and I'm grabbing Cam Ward. I'm making that deal every day, twice on Sunday. We've talked about it, and this word has been burned into my head because of fucking Joe Shane and Joe Judge culture. I am rebuilding the culture of the franchise. I am rebuilding the way this team thinks. We talk a good game. We talk a good game about we're going to draft, build our own talent, and augment them through free agency. And all we do is we don't draft well and we overpay for free agents and make bad trades. Mr. Singh, I have a question for you. What is, outside of neighbors, what is generally good about this team? What is generally... hold on, everyone. I got to take this call real quick. Hold on a second. All right, I'm back. Having a truck issue. I had my old house. You know, I had a big driveway. We downsized, so my old house had this big, like 3-4 car driveway and a garage, and I got trucks, I got motorcycles, I got cars. So I have a 2005 Ford F-150, and there was a knocking sound in the passenger side hub. And it was only when the parking brake was disengaged and it would roll, and I would have like 2 revolutions, and then it would keep banging. It would stop doing it. And I thought it was maybe the solenoid, and I was thinking maybe it was the I thought maybe it was the sway bar. But my biggest concern was I thought it was the front axle. I was thinking, oh, it could be the axle. Well, it turned out it was the fucking front axle. I had it in the shop, and they're like, "Yep, it's the front axle." And I told them, I said, "Oh shit, man! I was actually hoping that wasn't what it was." Oh, let's see here. I'd rather be Jameis and both Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Cheaper options. Sit them for weeks, and whoever we draft. It really depends on who we draft. That's the biggest question. Any news yet? No news yet. It's 12:02. Let's see here. It's 12:02. Let's see. Has anyone got any news? Is the Giants make any moves? Is Twitter working again? What's going on? Giants. Let's see here. If anyone sees any news come up, please make sure that you let us know, because I don't see any news yet. Kerry Collins was the first good quarterback I saw on the Giants. I didn't trust him not to turn the ball over, but he was fun to watch. Well, there you go. Then you're gonna love Jameis Winston. The Skyline says, "Hey everyone, Tim, on the scale of 1 to 10, how screwed are we?" I would say 9.7. Let's see here. Breaking news: Giants trade for T. Higgins, then rework the deal for 5 years, $125 million. Joe, you're fired. I'm bored having fun. Oh my God. Let's see here. Davey says Twitter is definitely crashing. I didn't know that. Let's see. AR-15 and some checks. Yeah, AR-15 likes to take plays off a quarterback. Jones never took plays off to a fault. You're right. What's up, RFD? Haven't seen you in a while, my brother. Late to the party. Who do you want for free agency and quarterback? I want Cam Ward. That's what I want. I'll take Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. 1A, 1B. It's funny that when people ask me what I want in free agency, you know what I really want? You know what I really want in free agency? I want some linebackers. I would literally love for this team to somehow figure out a way to come up with some outside linebackers, because we haven't had. I mean, one of our biggest issues is the fact that you have
Submitted for your approval. The Ghost Brothers. Nobody needs to be afraid.
You have the Ghost Brothers on both ends, and neither one of them can play the run. neither one of them can play the run whatsoever. And they don't understand how to hold their edge. They don't understand their assignments. I would like to see us. I would love to get a Bobby Wagner, but Bobby Wagner, of course, re-signed. I would have loved a Sherwood, but Sherwood's gone. But I'm not sitting there thinking there's any of these crazy guys out there that have sideline to sideline ability outside of like a Nick Bolton. And Nick Bolton is more of an off-the-ball linebacker. He's a little bit more of in the mold of a Bobby Okereke, who I said a while ago we needed to kind of move on from, even though you're only saving $3 million. But a Nick Bolton for a guy that's an off-the-ball linebacker, he is a guy that is a 3-down linebacker. He does make mistakes at times in coverage, Nick Bolton. Talked about Nick Bolton 100 times before. He makes mistakes. Nick Bolton will frustrate you in coverage at times. He gets picked a lot. You know, the pick play is illegal in the NBA, but for somehow it still works in the NFL. He gets taken out of plays in pass coverage. But he is a fucking bruiser of a tackler against the run. And when you have two guys on the ends that like to over pursue and do not maintain their assignments, then there's a problem there. Because that's why, like I said, we don't have a problem with people running up the middle. We have a problem off tackle left, off tackle right. Because our ends can't play the run. So if it's me and I'm doing free agency, I've said this before. I need to grab a corner. But I may prioritize Nick Bolton And honestly, you can pair Nick Bolton with Bobby Okereke right now. But I'm thinking that if it's me, I go out and get like a Nick Bolton. I know, like I said, it's not the sexy name, but if Shane Bowen is going to continue to be your your defensive coordinator, Asante Samuel makes more sense than a DJ Reed, because Asante Samuel will be able to play in the system that Shane Bowen runs. He'll be able to do it. He struggled under what's his name, Jesse Minter, the defense coordinator over with the Chargers. He struggled with him, but he would be a perfect fit for the New York Giants. And then if you're looking at that, if you pick up someone like a Nick Bolton, you pick up someone like an Asante. And again, I know Asante Samuel Jr. is not that sexy name. It's not that name people are like, ooh, yeah, that's who we need to get. But you got to also overlook the injuries a little bit. And then I'm going to turn around and look at the offensive line. Again, one player who I've loved for years now, and I've watched him make a steady progression. He's a free agent, and he's an offensive tackle, and he can give you the benefit of replacing Andrew Thomas if he gets injured or playing on the right side, is Dan Moore. Dan Moore has really made his name for himself. He was maddening in the beginning of his career. His pass protection was inconsistent to be nice. But the problem is you also went out and got a John Runyon who can pass block, but he can't block the run. But he is a guy that can give you, he can be a multiple year solution at left tackle or right tackle. He is a guy that has shown that he has worked on his trade and worked on his craft and has made himself better. And he is a guy that, like I said, could play either side of the line. So if you want to sit there, and this is kind of going back to the person, well, what did you do to make this team better? I would go Asante Samuel Jr., I would go Dan Moore, and I would do Nick Bolton. Dan Moore, it depends on what free agency kind of looks like. Are you going to break the bank with him? I don't know if you're going to break the bank with him, but you're going to have you're going to have some issues in reference to salary, depending on what the market value is for him, and we won't know until for the next couple of hours. Joe Flacco needs to get a hobby and retire already. I think football is his hobby. Mr. Taz says, what do you call it up? What do you call it up? Matt Ryan? Matty Ice. Matty Ice did Melton. Captain Crab Legs. Merriwood resigned. Danny Dudd says Darren resigned for the readiness of a black quarterback. RF says, for example, we can't develop talent. Ben Bretterson signed a 2-year, $22 million. A guy that couldn't stay on the worst offensive line. Tampa turns into a top 15 guard for a rushing attack. You're not wrong. Mr. Taz says, listen, Tim, hear me out. What are you trying to do? Call Minshew Mania for this? I would have taken the porn stash a couple of years back. I'm not taking the porn stash now. And Jennifer says, I see a desperate trade up for number one, or we have no quarterback. Your free agency, which starts with legal tampering, has already started. It's 10 minutes. 10 minutes in. Legal tampering has already started. James, are you out there? I think you're in the chat. Come on, James. I know you're not doing anything. Come on, James. I'm gonna invite James. Because I'm looking for news. We're not gonna have any news right away. Come on, James. There we go. Jesse Palmer. James said Jesse Palmer was the Bachelor. Jones didn't have one commercial billboard in 6 years playing in New York. Shaking my head. Let's see. Todd says we should call Kenny G and see if he wants to.
It's Daniel Jones at the 5. It's Daniel Jones at. Never mind.
Big old Gigante says, what's up, Tim? OBB Colt. All this hype is to be deflated by week 5. We see the guys get fired by midseason. What's the Giants have to reduce? What the Giants have reduced to? The Giants have reduced to a floundering franchise like the Cleveland Browns. Like the Chuck Long Detroit, the Chuck Long / Joey Harrington Detroit Lions. That's what we've been reduced to. and we're going to overpay to bring guys in here. But if you're smart, this is what kills me. This is what kills me. If we had a smart general manager, a smart owner, you have to spend, I think it's like something, they put this rule in a couple of years back, like 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was, with the collective bargaining agreement. You have to spend like 89% of your cap space. Because what teams were doing back in the 90s and 2000s were bad owners were just putting up bad products, knowing they had the television revenue coming in, and they weren't spending on the team. So they say now you have to spend, I think it's like 89% or 90% of your cap space you have to spend. You got to spend it. That's just the way it is. You got to spend it. But if you had a good ownership and a good general manager, and you know you have to spend X amount of your cap space, look for secondary level guys that are going to cost you less, and you're going to have to give them less years on their contract. And then continuously build through the draft. And don't forget to hit the like, and then continuously build through the draft. Draft smart, cultivate your talent, and build that way. Think about that. Just build that way. Talking about building, T-Brad loves to build for the Giants.
What's going on, man?
What?
I heard you call James. I said, hey, I can come in for a second.
I saw you, but I didn't know if you were working.
I'm always working.
James is off today. James is off today, so I know he might. I figured he was going to be around. So legal tampering has started, T-Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Right at this moment, we've seen a plethora of moves already in reference to a bunch of players going to bunch of players that may have been in the object of the Giants' eye go to different places, or maybe the object of the fans' eye. Oh, I got to get the big super chat though from Mr. Ohio. Malik Willis, quarterback, Byron Murphy Jr., Will Fries. Oh, I do like Will. And the offensive line and draft Hunter. I'd be happy.
Unfortunately, we don't have a chance for Malik Willis. Last year was the year we were supposed to be making all these kind of incognito moves. Like 3 or 4 quarterbacks moved addresses last year. Malik Willis. Who else was it? The guy from Pittsburgh who you couldn't stand, who came out in the same draft as Malik Willis. He went over to Philly.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Was I wrong about Kenny Pickett?
So far, you are correct.
He couldn't win in Philadelphia.
Fields. Yeah, Justin Fields. We could have took shots on all those for cheap, and it wouldn't have cost us anything.
Russell Wilson, we were his first stop.
Yep.
And
he wanted to be there.
Instead of pulling a Kenny G who wouldn't leave the fucking building, we let Russell Wilson leave the building and go to Pittsburgh. He goes to Pittsburgh, and the next day he signs.
That's because Drew Lock is a better option. You know, that's why I don't watch any of the Giants like beat writers. If you're paid by the New York Giants organization, I can't watch you anymore because I'm not weak-minded. I know what I see. But they're trying to convince you that this player is good or that player, oh yeah, Drew Lock, he might compete for the starting position over Daniel Jones. I was like, he's not competition. He's been a lifelong backup. Right. And I like Drew Lock when he came out of Missouri. He's not an NFL quarterback. You didn't improve the quarterback room from last year to this year. That was the problem last year. They did not improve the quarterback room. We should have had somebody there. Chris Goodwin re-signs with the Bucks. We should have had somebody there to say, hey, why don't you take Justin Fields? Maybe in case this Daniel Jones thing's flop. You've already lost favor with losing Barkley. Justin Fields was cheap. Kenny Pickett was cheap. Malik Willis was super cheap.
Right. Oh, 7th round pick.
Yeah, super. Imagine if we had him.
3rd round contract.
If we just had him last year, and I don't know who we picked 7th round last year. We just take that person off the team.
We took the linebacker out of UCLA.
Right. Imagine if we took Malik Willis and Malik Willis came in and played just like he played in the Packers. We didn't win any more games, but he played like, wow, this guy looks like he can be something. We're not that desperate going in for a quarterback this year.
No. No.
Because we could look and see what we have with Malik Willis and draft a Hunter or draft whoever you want to draft. So
Well,
I don't know.
it's the other thing too, and I don't want to keep harping back to last year's draft. Malik Neighbors, great player, will be something special, but you could have traded out of 6, grabbed someone like a Penix, took someone like a Ladd McConkey or Brian Thomas Jr. in the latter half of the draft, or even Xavier Worthy, and we're not having this conversation. We're talking about what are we going to do to build around Penix. That's what we're talking about. What offensive lineman are we going to get for him? What running back are we going to draft in 2025 for?
We would have probably ended up with Penix if the draft went the exact same way. We probably end up with Penix and Deion Cole from Buffalo, who I didn't like coming out of college. I think he wasn't a good route runner, but he looks like he's going to be good.
What's his name?
I like that option.
Keenan Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman from Buffalo.
I
Yeah.
liked Keenan Coleman coming out of Florida State.
Yeah, I didn't like him. I didn't think he ran routes well.
He's not the speedster that you're going to get, but he is consistent. We are. It's the weird thing with the Giants, and it has been for years. We are paying for the sins of our past because we're looking right now at this free agency. And you and I have talked about it. I've talked about it with James, talked about it with other people. Who is going to want to come here? I mean, seriously, outside of being paid more than the next person or the next team, who would want to say, you know what, New York is the place I want to go? I mean, the Giants, I should rephrase it, because some people will go to the Jets because the Jets don't have a quarterback, but they have more talent.
If I'm Justin Fields, that's where I'd go. If I had to pick between New York's, that's where I'd go.
If I had to pick between 2 locker rooms, I would go to the Jet locker room.
We've seen like a dysfunctional organization, and that's another reason why not firing Shane still makes us look dysfunctional. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to come here. You won't even be here. Like all the people who are wowing you to come here, and it's going to be this system, you can't even guarantee your job past this year.
I don't think you can guarantee your job past Thanksgiving.
Exactly. So, only thing that money talks. So people are going to have to overpay.
If let's say, I don't know what Thanksgiving game is, but let's say the Giants are 0-7 going into the Thanksgiving. Do the Giants still ride the Shane Dable horse, or do they make the smart move and just get rid of him?
I think getting rid of him early is best because you can start. I'm not going to say interviewing, but what you can do is actually give Brandon Brown, I think that's the brother's name, you give him a chance. Nobody's over your head. You make the moves. Unfortunately, you don't have a draft in you. And I might pull him this draft and be like, hey, let me see your board, your personal board, what you would do.
Right.
And I don't need to know what Joe's doing. What would you call out? And if I was Joe, that's what I would do. I'd let Brandon Brown do it. Like, okay, you just tell me what to do.
So we got again. Everyone's reporting Godwin's going back to the Bucks.
Yep.
Blackbird is actually right about this. Keenan Coleman has yak, something our boy Neighbors knows nothing about. He's actually true. Exactly. If you look at it statistically, yes, Keenan Coleman does have a much better yak than Malik Neighbors. Mike, he's going to lunch. Oh, you still take Malik Neighbors? Yeah,
still taking Malik Neighbors.
But I still take Malik Neighbors at 6 if I'm not trading back to get a quarterback. Michael Lee says later, Tim, got to go to lunch. So if you're the Giants, T-Rad, who are your top targets? Who are your targets? Who are your top 2 targets?
The top 2 quarterbacks.
No, in free agency, or maybe it is free agency.
Oh, in free agency. Ooh.
Because right now, legal tampering has started.
You know what? I don't want to run it back from free agency. I have positions that I think we need to draft. Running back is a position that I feel as though we have to come out the draft with. But free agency, I think an offensive lineman and a defensive back. I think we have to come out with that. And if we're going to overspend, let's overspend for someone who has the best days in front of them, not behind them. Darren Waller. And by overspending, I'm not even talking about the money. I'm talking about what we gave up and as draft capital to get Darren Waller. But I think we go defensive back. I like your thing with linebacker, but I don't know how many good linebackers are out there.
There's really none.
Right. And so I'm going with positions that seem to have a little meat on the bone. I agree with you on Byron Murphy. If we're gonna overspend to get him, I'm comfortable with him.
Well, and like I said, I have no problem with DJ Reed. I got no problem with that. But he will be on his fourth team in 9 years. He is a 5'8", 188-pound corner who played opposite of Sauce Gardner. We don't have a Sauce Gardner on this team. So teams are going to, I mean, is he going to shadow the team's best wide receiver? Is going to fit in the system? And there's talk it's 70, it's like 4 years, 72 million. I mean, Byron Murphy to me can play inside, he can play outside, he can play press, he can play zone. He is a year younger, and he's proven himself as the 1A guy.
I'd spend an extra $7 million on if I had to, maybe $10 million if it came down to Murphy and Reed. That's just me. I feel like we put ourselves, like you said, in the situation where we're going to have to overspend. That's today's reality. You got to get the players in the building to shape tomorrow's reality. So that's just where we're at now. Like the Eagles don't have to overpay, but yeah, I take Murphy, and if you can get me a good guard in there, or a good tackle in there, or a good person who could play both in there for the right type of money, I love it. Shoot,
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton's going to want too much money now, and that's who we should have got last year.
I was going to ask about Mekhi Becton. Does Mekhi Becton stay in Philadelphia, or does he go? I mean, there's always these players that revive their career with a certain.
Maddox.
I know. I love the Tommy Maddox thing. But there's always these players that revive their career. They have a terrible career. They get drafted high, have a terrible career with the original team, revive their career with the secondary team, get the big contract for the third team, and then fall off the planet again. Mm-hmm. Because I think of Mekhi Becton a little bit more as a system guy and fits what Philadelphia does. But if you look at it from that perspective with Mekhi Becton, how much do you pay a player like that?
It's so wild. The market's going to be different. I'm not going to pretend to know it like Joe Shane did. I think the market's going to. I think everyone's going to get overpaid because of the increase in money available.
Salary cap, yeah.
So if you are high priority, it's like going to an auto auction. You go to an auto auction, you be like, yeah, you know what? I really want that truck, but it may cost too much, but that truck will be all right. If you really want that truck, you're going to pay the extra money to get the truck you want. And it's the same.
Nick Bolton just signed 3 years, $45 million with the Chiefs.
Who did?
Nick Bolton.
Isn't that who you wanted?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Signs 3 years, $45 million to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, if I had a choice to hit free agency or stay in Kansas City and just keep winning rings and going to Super Bowls, I don't know. I'm not going to the Giants.
And you know what, Tim? I'm sorry to cut you off, but you need to wonka yourself. And I'm just going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. The reason I say this is every time me and you sit and discuss who we want for free agency, who's a good option, Joe Shane's like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
He probably has people watching us. Remember the year Malik Willis was coming out? We're like, yo, you got to draft him. We were happy getting Malik Willis in the first round. Then he dropped to the second. Then he got to we're like, okay, third round. Third
round, you can't pass it. You can't pass up on him in the third round.
Third round, he still does. And how good is Cordell Flott? If you could trade, I don't say how good is Cordell Flott.
How good is Cordell Flott?
I'm not going to say how good is Cordell Flott because I think that was a pick. But what I'll say is this. If you have the opportunity as a Giants fan to trade Cordell Flott for Malik Willis straight up, do you do it?
Yeah. That's like how good is Cordell Flott's like saying, how bad is COVID? It's like
and it's
well, I think it was OGR Sports City yesterday on the stream, or he texted it to me yesterday. He goes, you know what? He goes, I feel bad for you, Tim, because everything you say, and every giant content creator goes the exact opposite way.
Yep.
And I love it. And I laugh because I told him, I said, well, the funny thing is, for the last 3.5, 4 years, we've been right. So maybe,
very much so. Very much so.
And I wish we were wrong. I mean, about a lot of these things, but I would say, like, 80% of the time, the trades that we say were going to fail, the players that they brought in, the players that they drafted, we've been right on the money. I mean, I still go back to Wan'Dale Robinson, taking him, and it took me a minute to figure out
We were
that
pissed. We were pissed with that one. Like
he was a contingency plan against Kadarius Toney, but I said it over and over again. If you continuously got pulled down from behind at Kentucky,
Bears grab a center.
What the hell are you going to do in the pros? I
have no idea.
And we see it, 90 catches for 5 yards. He's a running back of the Darren Waller trade. I got blasted for that, but I said you're getting a guy moved from his best season with hamstring issues, and all you could talk about is he didn't invite the coach to the wedding.
Giants beat writers.
That's not how they got rid of him.
Daniel Jones to Waller. That's going to be the connection this year. That's good. We lost a 3rd-round pick. I don't know who picked in a 3rd round, but I'd sure like to have that person because that person's probably still playing, unlike Darren, the rapper R&B Waller.
I just love it, though, because that preseason, the Giants offense played one series, and that was against the Carolina Panthers. Darren Waller figured out on like the 4th play. And I kind of think this was always in his head that he was done after the 4th play in preseason because he ran a crossing pattern. He was going to the other sideline, and as he was open, not really open, Daniel Jones threw him the ball, but Daniel Jones failed to recognize the safety coming over the top, and Darren Waller almost got decapitated. And I think and I said it on the stream the next day, I think from this moment on, I said Darren Waller's done. Because he got up at that point and looked at it like, what the fuck? I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this shit. And don't forget about Kyle Rudolph. That's another one. Kyle Rudolph. Everyone got mad at me, and I said Kyle Rudolph's washed up. He was 3 years removed from being good with the Vikings. We said here that he was washed up.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that. Jesus. Yeah, he was old. Yeah, that's the Giants' MO. If you're like at the end of your rope in your career, like you probably can't make any other teams, come here and we'll overpay you. This is what you did with the wide receiver.
So the Giants get who? Who are they saying the Giants get?
I didn't see that. I seen the Bears grab the center.
They said Adobo. Who are they saying here? What are we saying here? Who are the Giants getting? The Giants. Where is Jennifer here? Where is Jennifer? Let's see here. Because then someone was saying they got who is this? All right, who is this? Who am I looking at here? Adobo. I love Adobo. I don't know. Who are I don't see anything that the Giants signed anybody.
Is that a cornerback?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to see what we're going from the Saints.
Adobo was the red cap or the blue cap? We usually use the blue cap at our house.
Well, the Adobo is
the red cap. I'm sorry.
Adobo is the what you call it? Is the little packet.
No, that's
that's
the little pack. That's the little pack.
In the big bottle. Adobo comes in the big bottle with the red.
You got the blue top, the green top, and the red top.
That's right. You got that. And so let's see. He's from the Saints.
We do movies, food, spices.
We
get it all here.
Everything. I'm actually slow roasting roast right now in the slow cooker. I didn't know Paulus and Adobo. I don't even know who the hell that is. And that's bad because I usually
Well, again, when you're desperate times comes desperate measures. Is that somebody? What position does the person play?
I know he's a corner.
Okay, so that must be. I know the Giants
hurt.
I'm about to say, knowing the Giants, this is probably someone who had a promising career and got hurt, and they're going to be the ones that bring him back off the injury slab.
Because I laugh because I Googled it, and they just one of the first video is Paulson Adobo's era over in New Orleans. Let's see. Insider claim the Giants want to steal. Let's see from the Jets. I'm not getting any confirmation of the Giants signing Mr. Paulson and Adobo. Or I'm not even sure how to pronounce that name.
Yep. I
But
tell you what, the best thing about being a Giants fan is any rumor is feasible, no matter how dumb.
you
No
know
matter
what?
how dumb.
You know what's funny? Not funny, but if it's the guy I'm thinking of, he broke his femur this year. And I can't remember the game, but I remember it was a pretty nasty injury. And he did it. I think he did it versus the Broncos. That's the only guy. Let's bring Evan. You know what's funny about Evan Ingram?
I'm over here trying to Google this. Evan Ingram? No.
I would actually bring Evan Ingram back. I would actually bring him back. He's already proven that he is a he 2 years ago, he's less than 2 years removed from having the second most receptions by a tight end in a single season in NFL history. He's a let's see here, he's a 20, let's see, Adobo is let's see, here's a corner.
Born in 1999, so he's 26,
6'1",
6'1", 192 pounds,
you know,
cornerback.
the prototypical size corner.
Yeah.
I like that. He's had 10
Definitely coming off of an injury.
He did break his, I was right, he did break his femur.
It's not a bad break.
It depends on how you break your femur. If you completely break your femur, yeah, that's a bad break, because they have to fuse that back together again. And he broke it and missed the entire season, or missed the last 11 games of the season. I think he got hurt in week 5.
Yeah, I won't be mad at. I'm not too mad at this, just due to the fact that
I'm not too mad at it, but my question is, how much did you give him? I'm not mad at it. My question would be, how much did you give him?
We over underpaid.
We over underpaid.
We got a cheaper guy, but we still overpaid for him.
But it would if you didn't overpay for him, and it's a guy coming off an injury, and I don't think the Saints, from what I'm reading, the Saints didn't want him back. They didn't want him back at 2 years, $11 million. If you didn't overpay for him,
It's position of need, definitely.
It's a position of need. Is he a true CB1? He's a guy that runs like he's not a slow guy. No, he runs like let's see, he runs like about a 4.4. I mean, I'm not it kind of just depends on what they paid to get him.
I'm looking at his top plays of 2022.
He is more of a like I said, he is more of a prototypical big corner.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I do worry about the injury.
He does tackle.
He does tackle. He's got a lot of tackles.
He does tackle.
But then the question, I mean, like I said, I don't have any.
We'll do all this research, get comfortable with him, and then find out the guy went to the Bears.
I know. I'm literally looking at that right now. And I'm like, we're going to go through all this. We're going to do all this stuff. And it's going to be like, he just re-signed with the Saints.
I'll tell you what, the Bears are actually having a pretty smooth, it's quiet, but a very effective offseason with some of the trades and moves they're making for that offensive line.
Oh, we're screwed now. Paulus and Adobo named an underrated free agent that could be a steal.
There it is.
Does anyone remember Madre Harper?
I would say, was he at the Senior? I know he's been in the league a few years, but if this guy was just at the Senior Bowl, they'd love to grab him.
Madre Harper was the big corner that we stole off the practice squad years ago from the Raiders under the Joe Judge era. And I said the nicest thing I could say about Madre Harper was he could run fast straight.
Yes.
And I had to watch videos from Giant content creators like, he's going to be that next great Giant corner. It's a steal. I was like, well, if you ever watched him play in college and watched him play in the preseason, he runs straight great. It's just when he has to go a different direction, shit gets really bad.
It's be a problem.
If it's true, I'm not. Again, it depends on. It would depend on what he signed for.
Yep.
I mean, but for them to say he is it just worries me that, like I said, he could
injured.
He could potentially be the underrated free agent steal of the draft.
Well,
Yeah.
what happens with the Giants recently, our recent history, and I'll predict it. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying this is Giants' luck lately. Okay, we sign him cheap. He looks like he's going to be good. Goes out, get injured, and retires.
Well, from the Saints websites and other things, injury was serious. Adoba comes with a major risk that will depreciate his contract numbers in free agency. I
That's
expect
why we
him to
look
sign
for
a
him.
1-year deal for starting the job and then try to re-enter the free agency in 2026 after a fully healthy season. That's what they're saying. Like that's what they're saying around the Saints here. I'm looking at all the Saint websites, but they said it's funny. I mean, but he's a guy that also played alongside. I don't think what's his name, Marshawn Lattimore, who's no longer in the Saints.
Yeah,
But that's again
and
like
Lattimore was a shutdown corner.
Lattimore was a
He was a
shutdown.
number one corner.
I mean, he's gonna have if it's true. And again, like to T. Brad's point, we're probably looking at all this, and he's gonna go someplace else. I mean, but this is a typical Giant deal.
Desperate moves.
It's not a desperate move. It's just this we've talked about this before, that the Giants, especially with their drafts, going back even before Joe Shane, they don't draft immediate talent. They draft projected talent. And they did that so many times with these drafts, like Matt from Connecticut, Matt Pert, kept saying he won't be I said it right when we drafted him. He's not going to be a starter for 5 years.
You called Matt Pert out.
He's here for 4.5. We get rid of him. He becomes a starter in San Francisco. I mean, again, and there was plenty of guys in that draft that could have came in here and started immediately. It may not have had potentially the higher ceiling that certain players, but when has any of these players that we drafted that supposedly had these higher ceilings became anything?
They never reached their ceiling. The Giants really strike out in the third and fourth rounds, I think. Like they really do. Like those are the chances where you can take a Malik Willis, or you can take that running back, like that backup running back for the Jets that they took in the third round. I thought he could be a real number one. And you did a good job earlier talking about something with the great fame that Joe Shane's getting with the rookie class. It's like, yeah, these people are playing on a team that sucks. You did a good job pointing that out earlier. I'm like, thank you. I've been telling people this draft, don't think because you start for the worst team in the NFL that you are a starter. You know what I'm saying?
I always tell people, I years ago I played on a bad JUCO team when I came out of high school. Real bad JUCO team. I'm not going to get into it because it was really bad. But I made a lot of tackles. Didn't mean I was good. It just mean I was playing. That's the difference. And I always say that about this draft class, and to your point, doesn't mean these guys are any good. New Orleans Darkwa had the same amount of rushing yards as Tyrone Tracy his last season. Never came back in the NFL after that. I mean, and he was just on a 3-win team.
And Tracy, there's a bright spot. He played good. Tyler Newman, he came and played good, but we took Tyler Newman before the corner from the Eagles, Deshaun, I forget his name.
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean. There we go. I'm saying his last name first. But yeah, Cooper DeJean. Like, would you rather have Tyler Newman? Cooper DeJean.
Let's see. BJ Hill's going back to the Bengals. Hassan Reddick is going to the Bucks. J.C. Horn re-signs with the Panthers, so the trade dream for Joe Shane is now washed up. Let's see. Hassan Reddick to the Bucks. We signed Gilmore. I remember Skipper. I remember the Skipper when we got him from the Steelers. We stole Skipper from the Steelers as well.
Washington grabbed somebody from San Francisco, Kinlaw. He's coming off a linebacker off an injury. That's who I would like the Giants to get.
Let's see here. The Giants should trade the 3rd overall pick for Kenny Pickett. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Anyone about Trey McSorley? He's available too. Jameis Winston is the bridge quarterback I want. Cost will be okay. Would you take I know we've talked about this, but I always tell people sometimes we need to be redundant. Would you take Jameis Winston?
After other people, I would, but there'd be a lot of people before him. But yeah, I'd take him. I mean, desperate times because desperate measures. We're to the point where there was a point in Giants lore where this guy wouldn't even be thought of. But we're so bad now that, yeah, we kind of got to look at that.
Yeah, but
So
I said it earlier in the show, and I don't know if you're around. I would be fine with like a Marcus Mariota. He came in and had to play last year, played well enough. He's a guy that if you draft a quarterback, you could start him for the first 7-8 games without much fear of him not being able to continue. Like I say, if you go out and get a 41-year-old Joe Flacco's what, maybe starting 3-4 games before he gets killed. You know, he's a guy that, like I said, you know, he's shown he can start in the NFL. He can play. I think you probably get him for like $4 or $5 million, and you're not burning up your quarterback cap space because you already have $22 million in dead cap numbers.
Mariota is one of the people who I would not take over James Winston.
Really?
Yeah, Mariota is one of the people I would not take over.
I think
Now, if the goal was to develop a young quarterback, then yes, I probably would take Mariota over Jameis Winston because Mariota seems to be more of a worker and teacher than Jameis Winston, where Winston is probably more talent. So for that purpose, yeah, but just to be the quarterback, no.
Everyone talked about how Waller was unstoppable at training camp. Yeah, Blackbird knows, not us.
Well, no, what he didn't realize is this. Waller was unstoppable at training camp because their defense sucked. It still does. So yeah,
Well,
it's easy.
And also the fact that they don't make you do 2-a-days anymore, full contact, full practice. You get how many? You get like what? 8, 9, or 10 padded practices now with full contact or something lower, something similar like that. You look great against the Alcone team. I was out in the yard with my son and his friends on Saturday, you know, throwing some passes. I look great. I was like, wait a minute. I could probably get, you know, like I said, I still have 2 years of eligibility. I could hit the transfer portal in college and maybe get a gig somewhere at Furman.
Not without your NIL deal. Get one of those.
That's true. But I look great. But of course, that's thrown to a bunch of 12 and 14-year-olds. So it doesn't mean I'm good. It just means I could throw to a 12-year-old.
Somebody had to throw the ball.
Let's bring back Logan Ryan. I do remember Nico. I loved Nico. I just loved Nico's name. Nico had like 6 that was being nice. Nico had like 2 big plays during his Giant career. Let's bring back Logan Ryan. We don't have any. This is the thing we always go back to. We don't have any linebackers. We don't. We could talk about
always a Giant staple. Always
going back to fucking Sam Huff.
Always a Giant staples having aggressive, athletic linebackers who were the face of the defense, who made it happen. You know, I mean, in the later Super Bowls, it was more the D line, but we still had linebackers.
You still had linebackers that contribute. I mean, you go back to the '86 team. There was 3 guys in Andy Hedden, Byron Hunt, and Robbie Jones Jr. that were 6'3", 240 that could start for the other 30 or 28 teams, or how many teams were back in the '86, could start for those guys, but they couldn't get on the field because we had Taylor, Carsons, Reason, Pepper Jones, Banks. They couldn't get on the field. We had so many linebackers at one point in time, even going back to the '90s Super Bowl, they just couldn't play. Steve Diassi, even though, like I said, Steve Diassi found his way on the field when we brought him over from Dallas, but he's another guy that probably would have been a starter someplace else. But now, you and I could play linebacker.
Yep.
Because I think they need anyone who remembers Trey Hawkins.
Trey Hawkins was supposed to be the guy.
Well, remember Trey
in the slot? Oh my gosh! Again, if you watch that Giants paid for media, boy, they will have you looking at this practice team like, oh my gosh, Daniel Jones looks so good. The connection to Waller, no one's gonna stop us. We go out and have 6 scoreless quarters of football.
all I know is about Trey Hawkins is all I kept saying about Shane Bowen and the Giants. I think it was Jerome Henderson at the time. Was a defensive back coach. That all I ever see is shoulder tackles. Just throwing their shoulder into people trying to knock them, not tackling, not wrapping up, not doing anything, just hitting with the shoulder, hope they get knocked down. And I kept saying over and over again that is a great way to get injured. That is a great way to hurt your shoulder. So Trey Hawkins finally gets his start, and I loved it. Well, what it was halfway through the third quarter, he throws a shoulder tackle, blows out his shoulder. I'm like,
And that's how the young kids are taught to tackle these
can't
days.
make this shit up. And then, like I said, I always use the Cooper DeJean tackle on what's his name, Derrick Henry. You know, he wraps up, he lifts with his legs, and he drove him into the turf.
Mm-hmm.
But we sit there with our shoulder. There you go. Here he is. Wraps around, grabs him by the waist, lifts him up, and drives him into the dirt. No, we always throw the shoulder tackle and then pray to God the guy falls down.
We could have had him.
But that's how Shane Bowen how they teach. What they teach. That's why he's had terrible secondaries going back to, someone said BJ Goodson. Let's get BJ Goodson. He had the hairstyle. You know what? BJ Goodson became a good pro when he left the Giants.
Mm-hmm. We had a few of those.
He actually had BJ Goodson actually played well. I believe it was in Green Bay after he left. I mean, he wasn't prolific, but he became he became
got his reps.
When he played that he actually started 15 games and played in 15 games, started 9 in Green Bay, and then it was the next year in Cleveland where he had like almost 100 tackles in 14 games. So BJ Goodson was another one of those guys that went elsewhere and played something else and played somewhere else.
I thought BJ Hill was another example of that too.
BJ Hill,
BJ Hill went somewhere and put his career together.
Well, we all know what happened with the BJ Hill trade. We got one of the worst centers ever in the NFL in that BJ Hill trade. We got the 32nd ranked starting center in the league for BJ Hill. I love this guy. I'm still waiting for Sam Beal.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Sam,
remember that guy? That guy he get injured and they still keep him.
Sam Beal. Supplemental draft, Sam Beal.
Yes. Woo. He's a blast from the past right here.
I love this one because B. Willie is probably right. Joe Shane probably waited until 12 p.m. to start tampering. Joe Shea is probably like, listen, I don't want to break the rules, but I'm going to exactly wait till 12 p.m. to start tampering. Screw these other guys signing people left and right. Do we have any Giant signing? Do we have any Giant news here? I got the Giant news up, and I'm getting nothing here. I'm getting nothing. I'm not seeing anything here.
We are the least desirable team to go to. Because we have no culture, we're the least desirable team to go to.
I'm just looking at this article. It says that the Giants predicted to solve quarterback issues with $112 million star.
Was that the heavy?
I have no idea who wrote this. And they're talking about giving Aaron Rodgers $112 million. Ken Hickey wrote this article March 9th.
That is a Giants type thing to do, though.
He works.
It's very New York Giantish.
I think he works for sports. No, he works for Empire Sports Media. No, I don't know who that is.
I heard Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh.
I would go to Pittsburgh.
I heard Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh. This is rumored, not confirmed.
This was yesterday. We heard that he was going to go to Pittsburgh, and there was rumors and speculation that he was waiting. Let's see. I'm sure Elijah Penny is out there. You know what's funny about Elijah? Listen, I will never knock Elijah Penny.
Boogie bash him.
I met Elijah Penny's mother, grandmother, and most of their family the last preseason game that he was on with the Giants, and because we sat in the player family section, and his mom had this little dog. I mean, literally like a little tiny dog, and I was sitting there looking at him. They were cheering when he did anything, and I'm like, who the fuck are these people? He started talking to him, and then they're like, she's like, well, that's my son, Elijah Penny. That's my son. I was like, oh,
dope.
It's like I got to be nice to you now, because I was trying to figure out how'd you get the fucking dog in the stadium?
Yeah,
because it was probably like this big. I was like, I guess you could have put it first. So I can never say anything bad about Elijah Penny. Jimmy Garoppolo is going back to the Rams on a 1-year deal. Thank God.
Oh God.
Let's see here. Let's see. No, we're getting no Giant news. I think you're right. I think Joe Shane's waiting until tomorrow. Joe Shane is like, I'm not waiting till Wednesday to really start. I'm waiting till tomorrow.
Joe Shane is calling people. They're letting it go to voicemail.
Hi, you've reached the number of Joe Shane. Unfortunately, I'm not available right now. So if you please leave your name and number and write the tone and how many years you want and the number of the money, I will get back to you as soon as possible.
His wife's too busy bedazzling something right now. So
This is how it's going down. Joe Shane's calling agents. Agents are looking at the player like, hey, got the Giants. Players are like, I'm okay. Let's see what's out there first.
Players are calling the Giants. Giants are calling players, and the general manager's going, nope. We're not picking up. That one's going to voicemail. I love it, Richie. New York Giants are sleeping right now. I had a long night. They were out in the city last night, so they don't want to. They don't want to rush things. The Giants are like a sniper. We're kind of just laying in the weeds. We're waiting for all the good guys to be gone, so this way we can't screw up. And then
this is all that was out there.
We grab it. Thank you. That's where I was going. We grab whatever was left and say, this is just these were the slim pickings. El Gigante says Joe Shane took the week off because he didn't want to tamper. I got to leave in 8 minutes. I just want one Giant news.
Yeah. Will this guy actually fail 2 free agencies in a row?
Alex Ogletree was a linebacker at one point. You know what's funny? I actually liked the Alex Ogletree move when we initially made it. Because I thought he would be a cover guy, and I thought he could, give something to the team. But I was actually really wrong about that one.
I liked Ogletree too.
Let's see here. Just heard Rodgers is close to a deal with Pittsburgh.
I reported that already.
People. James Stein. It's the way it looks. The Giants will suck again this year because of guys. Listen. People say all the time that I'm negative, that I always gloom and doom. Some free agents are going to sign here.
Just not the ones we want.
Maybe not the ones you want, but it's like it's inevitable. It's like death and taxes. It's inevitable. Free agents are going to sign here. Players are going to sign here. We're going to overpay. We're probably going to bring in. We're going to probably bring in 1 or 2 big guys that are going to eat up a lot of the chunk of our salary cap. We're going to have to find a low-end quarterback because while you can have potentially $60 million, you only have like 40 contracts, and you don't have a quarterback on the roster, even though you're paying 22. But I should rephrase that. Outside of Tommy DeVito, but you're still paying Daniel Jones. Not really paying him, but you have that $22 million dead cap number for Daniel Jones. You're going to sign maybe 1 or 2 guys that you're going to overpay for, and then you're going to bring in these second-level guys and say, look, this is how we're building the roster. We're building that through the draft. Joe Shane shows up as a spam on agents' phones.
Spam risk.
I was going to say, I love it on the iPhone when it says potential spam.
I don't even answer.
It's a picture of Joe. And you know what the worst part is? Probably a picture of Joe Shane with the phone ringing.
Yep.
I mean, okay, it's not listen, the big free agents are not gone. Right? We're seeing a lot of guys that were already released, or a lot of guys that are just re-signing, with a team. But all the big names
None of the names we mentioned are gone. None of the actual, like the Reeds, the Murphys, they're not gone. I don't think this is a good free agency for us to get a wide receiver, but we have to come away with a wide receiver somehow.
Right. So I mean, it's people got to just take it easy for a minute. It's literally just the start of free agency. We're not looking at, we're not looking at having. I don't think we need to worry at 12:55 that the Giants haven't made any moves.
Oh shit! My bad. I just found out. Just came in through my earpiece, man. According to reports, Joe Shane is calling Barkley to see if he can match the Eagles' offer now.
Oh.
Oh my
T-Rag, come on, man. I'm trying to give people hope.
I'm sorry, man. All I got is a joke. You got nothing.
I am literally trying to give people hope, and all you got is jokes. That's all you got.
I got more than Joe Shane's got right now. Nothing.
You know, we're gonna be fine. We are. I am telling you this, guys. We're not gonna be fine. We're not gonna be fine. I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna be that crazy. We're not gonna be fine, but we're gonna sign somebody. Is it gonna be the big names that everyone wants to see? No, because we've already seen now that that's not happening. So I mean, let's focus on where we're at now and worry about the rest later and see what happens. Because I think I'm trying to be positive here, guys. I think you guys need to stop being negative. That's what I think it is now.
I tell you what, man, you're just used to it. It's like a beat dog, man. You're just used to the abuse now with this team.
You're just used to be getting screwed over and over.
I'm used to the abuse. Hey, man, I'm looking. I don't see anything. Hey, we did get that DeVito deal done. So
we re-signed the Scottish Hammer. Gilliam came back.
Yeah, we got some deals done.
So we have some deals done. I think that I think people just need to just take a moment, relax, and wait to see what they do.
And then be overly critical.
About what is done.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do. What do you think? How do you think that works out?
I just think that's
trying to be the fucking voice of reason.
That's the ebb and flow of what we're gonna do. We're gonna complain that no moves are being done. As soon as the move gets done, we're gonna destroy it.
We're gonna rip the move. Well, no, that's not true. Certain people are gonna think any move that we make is gonna be the greatest move.
It's gonna be the steal.
It's gonna be the steal of the draft.
We're gonna get same steal. That Adobe fake deal. We were kind of okay with that. We're like, well, as long as we didn't overpay, not a bad move.
I was actually fine. If that was the case, I was actually kind of fine with that.
Yep.
I was actually thinking. I was looking at that deal, going, okay, if it's true, and this kid is coming here for the purpose of redoing his career or getting his career, back on track, that's not a bad move.
Absolutely, you're gonna get enough reps.
He is a big corner. He looks like he's got good cover corner skills. I mean, I this. You know what? I hope that moves happens.
Yeah, now we're trying to talk it into existence.
I actually hope. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I really hope that move happens.
Yeah,
because that literally made, and the Giants don't do this a lot, but that literally made sense.
Hey Tim, I got a quick question for you.
Shoot.
What about Azeez Ojulari? Are you for keeping him or letting him walk?
That's I gotta let him walk.
I keep Azeez and trade what's his name? Kayvon. Now you see me, now you don't.
I have to that. I would have to I can't, it's the injuries that scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, he's a player who I really like. When we got him, I was so psyched about that.
I mean, but injury wise, can you literally say that you would want to go?
No, not at all. Stays hurt.
I mean, if you're always hurt and you can't be on the field, I mean, it would have made sense to trade him, but we didn't. I mean, that literally would have made sense, but we don't do things that make sense.
Hey Tim, you got to give this guy a comment of the show.
Oh, wait a minute.
The draft friend. That's comment of the show right there.
Well, wait a minute. We have a phone call. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Should we pick a voicemail? I'm not sure what we should do. I think we're gonna hang up on this one.
We should make our profile. for the phone that so when you call somebody, that's how
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that on my phone. I don't know who I'm gonna give that one to, but I'm gonna use that one on my phone. All right. It took me a few. I was vamping at one point because it was taking me a little time to build.
The draft friend, man. That is comment of the show, dude. That is wow.
Oh my goodness. It is 1 p.m. I have to go. I gotta go get my truck. I gotta go get my kid earlier. I gotta help the wife. I got everything going on. But you know what?
Good life.
I do appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
If you're around Wednesday, not tomorrow, but Wednesday, we will be doing the kickoff of free agency at 11 a.m. as well. So I don't know what time free agency kicks off, but we're going to do a free agency preview show of everything that's already been done, starting at 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I know it ain't 11 p.m.
No, it's not. It's not 11 p.m. It might be for Joe Shane.
Yeah, but I might be able to make that.
But if you're around, definitely stop on by. I'd love to have you come on, and hopefully Joe Shane doesn't call again. But as always, guys, we're out of here. It's 1 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for coming in. We'll have videos when the news breaks. This is Tim Stewart, Giants QBs, Powered by Online Big Blue LLC, and for T. Brad and myself, we're out of here, people. Peace. Have a good rest of your day.